guys, welcome to Shades Tube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is Monday, May the 12th, 2025, 8:44 p.m. out here on the West Coast. And again, welcome to Shades Tube. Shades Tube Late Night Owls Talk Time. Welcome to everybody in the bushes, everyone that watches this in the replay. Over here in the chat, we got Jermaine in the place to be. Jermaine said like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on all of our latest content. And don't forget to drop a super sticker, super chat, or donate through Cash App at $ShadesTube. Thank you guys so much. Also, if you want to show additional support for this channel, you can do a thumbs up, meaning that you like the content. Also, you can subscribe if you are not subscribed and hit that bell notification so you can be notified of any upcoming videos. Make sure you share and leave a comment. And thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and do this copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. That entire copyright disclaimer is in my description area. Part of it is scrolling across the screen, and it will be in my comment area when this video is over. Thank you guys again, and let's get ready to get started. All right. So today, guys, we are going to be recapping Sean Diddy Combs' court date. This is day number 1. We're going to look at some videos first, and then we are going to go over things and talk about that and react to that. All right. So go get you something to eat, drink, and relax and see. If you are at work, continue to do your job. Watch me on the down low, or either listen and don't get caught. All right. Let's go ahead and start. First thing first, guys, I want to show you guys some videos regarding what happened today at Sean Diddy Combs' first day of trial and his final jury selection today. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Let me present this. Hold on for 1 second, you guys. Okay. Now let's watch her first, guys.
Because I paid for the Substack so you don't have to. Because what's really going on with this Diddy case? Now, shout out to Inner City Press over on X because they're covering the Diddy trial, and there's a few things to note. Now, first, their live coverage is a paid subscription, and don't worry, I paid for it for y'all. And 2, there is no video coverage of the Diddy trial, so each person who reports on the story has to do it in real time. And Inner City Press does that, and I got access to it. Now, P. Diddy's daughters were in trial on day 1, but they walked out once the male exotic dancer took the stand. And yes, it's graphic, so it's understandable that they would leave. They should leave. Now, I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of this thread because that's really what people want to hear. Now, first, it's already been reported that this male stripper wasn't direct access to Cassie, and she was his point of contact. Now, at the top, he lists the house in Essex where he was directed to go anytime they had a meetup. The prosecutor asked him, was there a code name that was needed to enter into the house? And the dancer says, yes, it was Black. Now, the dancer goes on to say that because Cassie was his point of contact, he would often send her vulgar messages like, I want to F you right now. The prosecutor then jumps and asks him, was baby oil used? The dancer said, every time. Now, he also goes on to say that when Diddy felt as though there wasn't enough baby oil, he would additionally lather more onto them, which is kind of gross. Now, here's the portion of it where he talks about urinating, and you guys know where that goes. And then this is where the dancer says that Diddy directed him not to urinate all at once, I guess to do it and then stop and do it and stop. Now, the defense attorney says, objection. The judge replies, I've got it. The district attorney asks next, well, what happens? The dancer replies and said, he'd leave me there waiting for hours. The whole thing might even go on for about 10 hours. Then the dancer states that when it was time to leave, it was the first time he had actually saw Diddy dressed up in his suit without a mask. Now, prior in this thread, the dancer did state that when he would make it to the Essex home and get in with the code in Black, Diddy would often be in a bathrobe, a bandana around his face from the nose down, and a baseball cap. So Dave Chappelle essentially was not lying in those skits. Now, at the top of the portion of this thread, the dancer goes on to say that Diddy had taken a picture of his photo ID. There was an objection, and then the prosecutor comes back with an additional question, and he asked the dancer, "What did you think that to mean?" The dancer said, "I felt like he was trying to threaten me." Now, the dancer goes on in the next portion of this thread to talk about how he believed that Cassie was under barbiturates, if you will, that she was slumped over. And when Diddy saw that, he told the dancer, "It's just not going to happen
Hold
today."
on, guys. Hold on,
Essentially,
y'all.
like,
Hold on for a second. Hold on. Sorry about that, you guys. Let me finish doing this. Let me rewind it just a little bit. Okay.
There was an objection, and then the prosecutor comes back with an additional question, and he asked the dancer, "What did you think that to mean?" The dancer said, "I felt like he was trying to threaten me." Now, the dancer goes on in the next portion of this thread to talk about how he believed that Cassie was under barbiturates, if you will, that she was slumped over. And when Diddy saw that, he told the dancer, "It's just not going to happen today." Essentially, like, "You're not going to be able to sleep with her today." The prosecutor asked him, "Had Diddy ever given you any substances?" He said, "Yes, MDMA, Molly, etc." Then the prosecutor asked, "How did it make you feel?" He said, "Euphoric, but also it made me sick." And he also goes on to talk about how there were other exotic dancers there. And when he passed them in the hallway, he asked them what they were doing there. And they said, "Well, to sleep with Cassie." He goes on to say that he did not get the guy's name, but he did exchange numbers with the other dancer there to sleep with Cassie. This is when the prosecutor asked him, "Did it ever seem as though you were not the first person there? Like you were not the first person at the Essex house waiting to sleep with Cassie?" And that's when the dancer said, "Yeah, there'd be like towels on the floor, uh, lube or whatever like that, half used bottles." So it was presumed that he wasn't the first person to make his way to the house. And then finally, the prosecutor asked him, "What were you paid to do this?" And then the dancer said, "Nothing. I never asked to be paid, so they never paid." And this is when the dancer reveals that he had stopped going to the house because he had saw Diddy hit Cassie and he had never returned after that. And don't worry, we're going to have more coverage of day two. Day one was simply just the point of order, getting the jury in there, getting Diddy in the trial, and then the male dancer was on trial. So tomorrow, it's presumed that the defense is going to be able to cross examine him. Because I paid for the Substack, so you don't have to.
Okay. So what do you guys think about all that, what you just heard? That was a hot ass mess. What do y'all think about Patsy? They said she was allegedly taking some type of drugs. What do y'all think about all that stuff we just listened to? Jermaine, what you think? Do you think that she was coerced into doing all of these things? Who let me see, what can I call the guy? The male, you know what? You think he was telling half of the truth? Or that he was lying as well? And when he said, listen, when he said that he did not get paid, okay? He said he did not get paid, right? That almost makes you wonder if he really just, wanted to be there. Because why would you not? If he was a male escort type dude, right? Why wouldn't you want to get paid? It just seems kind of odd that he said that he did not ask to be paid. But if Diddy hired him to come in and do certain things as like a job, why wouldn't he want to be paid? You said you think she was a willing participant. Honestly, it sounds like he definitely was. Why wouldn't you want to get paid if that's what your profession is? And then something else too. If you are so against everything, why would you keep on coming back over and over and over again until you see him hit Cassie and that's when you change your mind? If you're not into all this type of stuff, why would you keep on coming after the first time? The SES party probably was with all the weird stuff, the golden shower, whatever else weird they were doing. Why would you come back? And then you didn't say anything. You let it stay, down low. You didn't say anything until now. Why do you guys think it took them so long to come out? And also, if he did not like doing this, why would he keep on coming back? He said he stopped coming once he saw Diddy hitting Cassie. And what did he say when he saw Diddy hitting Cassie? See, these are the questions I'm asking. What did you do when you saw Diddy hitting Cassie? What did you say? What did you do? Did you leave? Did you just watch him do it? You didn't try to intervene? Or you were just too scared? Hey, Tony, and hey, Most Hated Bronze. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the second video and see what they're talking about. This is crazy. I'm just trying to figure out how these people, grown men, why would you stay there? If you saw him hit Cassie, why didn't you do anything? You mean to tell me he had these people that terrified of him? Okay. But they're not terrified now. Okay. He got more money and everything now. Let's see what she's talking about.
So Diddy trial has kicked off, and we have heard from 2 witnesses now. And if this is going to be day one, the days to come are going to be very interesting, very damning, and Diddy could be done. So the first witness that testified against Diddy was the security guard that was at the hotel. This was the hotel where the infamous video from CNN came, where he was basically dragging, kicking, and pulling Cassie back into the room after she was trying to leave and get on an elevator. So allegedly, when they got back into the room, Cassie called security for the hotel. Security went upstairs, went into the room, and stated that he walked into the room and Diddy was sitting on a chair with like a devilish look in his eyes. And he basically asked Cassie if she was all right. She said she wanted just to get her things and go. And Diddy proceeded to say, "You're not going anywhere." The security guard then told Diddy that she is going to leave if she wants to. Then Diddy proceeds to try to bribe the security guard with money. And the security guard says, "I'm not interested in your money. Like, I don't want that. Like, what are you doing?" Very damning evidence, considering that,
y'all, listen,
he basically.
But the problem I got with all of these people, if you just witnessed him beating the heck out of Cassie, right? You said he had a devilish look on his face. Well, security, why didn't you call the police? Why? He said he did not take the money. So clearly, he objected to what Sean Diddy Combs was doing, right? So that means that he wasn't all that afraid of him, right? So therefore, why didn't he call the police to report that? And that way they could have came there and, Diddy would have been arrested. Shh. This is all weird. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why no one called the police that day if they saw all of this on the camera and everything else. This is weird.
Basically says that CNN altered this footage of him, when in fact, if that corroborates with what the security guard said that then went up into the room, that's a whole different story. Now, the second witness they had up was a male escort that was called by Cassie from the demands of Diddy, because Diddy wanted Cassie to engage in this kind of stuff. And that was more or less, it seemed like to me, in my opinion, to be punishment for her. There was some really vulgar things that he made her do. And the male escort basically says that he would make her dress in certain outfits and wear certain things. He was in control of the whole situation. He even admitted to, once everything was done, Cassie would then pass out and he would drag her by her hair into another room. That's just appalling. And on these testimonies alone, like this man is just diabolical. In the meantime, he was throwing hand hearts and thumbs up to his family, whom he also has girls. Like, how I don't understand how the mothers of these kids are allowing their children to hear all of this. It's quite astonishing if you ask me. But if this is only day one of testimony in this trial, we have a lot to talk about. Now, I do want to go over, there is the jury selection is a wide base. There's a lot of different ethnicities there. It's 8 men and 4 women, and then I believe there was 5 other backups. I'm not too sure if they're men or women, and basically they're from every different ethnicity, and it seems like they range from their 30s to their 60s as far as age goes. But I will be keeping you guys updated in the Diddy case and who else is going to be testifying. Also, I just wanted to add in that Jaguar Wright is in the courtroom as well. And I have seen videos of people claiming that she's clout chasing, but in all reality, she is intertwined within the music industry. So she is there, even though she has lied about some stuff. I fully believe that she has some truth to her, and she is there to see justice get served, in my opinion. But what?
Okay, so we are going to talk about it now. Let me just put this in the background and stop this, okay? Just put Diddy back there. Okay, we are going to talk about this now ourselves, okay? There's a lot of stuff that's crazy, and they're not really explaining everything in detail, all right? And that's what we are going to do over here right now. Let me turn my music back on. So let's see what Jermaine said. Okay, so he said, this lady is not accurately explaining what he said. Right, and that's why I'm getting ready to go over this right now, okay, for you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about what happened today on Diddy trial day 1. Okay, guys, let me get it. Okay, so let's start with Diddy reading the Bible in courtroom. All right. Let's go over that first. So according to TMZ, they said it looks like Diddy is leaning on his faith as he goes on federal trial for ex-trafficking, because he was reading the Holy Bible in court. So today he had his Bible at his table, and he was reading scriptures before opening statements from the prosecution and his defense team. All right, and that's according to the people in the courtroom. Here is a sketch from today. Let me show you guys of them in the courtroom right here. And you're going to be seeing nothing but sketches, so remember that. Let me can y'all see that down there? Can y'all see that or not? Can y'all see it? Okay. So they said Diddy had a lot of family supporting him, including a bunch of his kids and the Combs family as a whole. I think they had his 2 twin daughters there, his son's mother there, Miss Hilton, I think that's her name. All of them were there. Okay. You say you couldn't see it. Okay, I'll show it to y'all in a minute. And they said the family did not show any emotions. Okay. So Diddy wearing a sweater over a collared shirt, Diddy didn't move that much as the prosecution addressed the jury. They say he moved his feet around a little bit, but he had a blank stare. Okay. So one of Diddy's defense attorneys, Tenny G, she handled the opening statement, and a couple of jurors appeared to nod off, resting their heads on their hands. Tenny was speaking right before lunch, and it seemed like the jurors were getting tired and hungry. However, a couple of jurors were taking tons of notes while Tenny was doing her opening statements. And they said her father, Mark G, was looking like a proud father as he watched his daughter do her thing. So in case y'all are wondering what she looks like, let me show y'all. Let me stop this real quick and I'm going to show y'all. This is Tenny, attorney Tenny G. Okay. And this is the picture I was trying to show you guys, a sketch of them in the court. It looked like his relatives right there. I'm not sure. In these sketches, and his mom. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Now they said her husband, attorney Tenny's husband, was also in court, and they kissed in the cafeteria during the lunch break after her opening statement. And they telling you everything in order. We're not going to go into that. So let's see. They said Cassie's name came up a bunch in the openings, and her defense attorney, Douglas Rigdor, huddled with her husband, Alex Fine, in the cafeteria. Okay, so Diddy's mom was there. As you can see her in the sketch. She was also wearing sunglasses during court proceedings. Okay, so let's see. Let's go on with the first witness. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I got a lot of stuff saved, so let me go ahead and find the next thing. Okay, let's go ahead and do this right here. Let me go down a little bit first, okay? So here are some more highlights right here, okay? As we already know, once they got really graphic, just like the girl said in the video, the daughters left the room, okay? They left the room doing some of the most graphic testimony. Okay, so later Combs' defense attorney, Tenny G, countered that prosecutors were trying to twist his romantic relationships into a racketeering and ex-trafficking case. She said Sean Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. This case is about voluntary choices made by capable adults in consensual relationships. Okay? Now, one factor that remained constant during the jury selection process is that potential jurors told the court over and over again that they have seen the much talked about video that allegedly shows Combs beating, kicking, and dragging Cassie. Now, after the opening statements, the 12 jurors and the 6 alternates heard from the prosecution's first witness, Israel Flores, and that is the former security guard. He testified that he received a call for help after the incident in 2016. They later heard from Daniel Phillip, a man who said he saw Combs physically abuse Cassie and who told the court he was paid to have sex with her. Okay, and I'm believing that's the one that said that he did not ask for any money, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, Phillip, who went on to meet with Combs and Cassie several more times, also detailed Cassie's condition during these alleged encounters, including one incident in which Phillip arrived at the hotel to find the woman completely slumped over on the couch as if she was unconscious. Now, in another incident, Phillip said Combs became violent with Cassie after she failed to enter Combs' bedroom immediately. The man recalled that Combs threw a bottle of liquor in Cassie's direction and proceeded to drag her back to the room by her hair while she was screaming. See how that lady got that backwards a few minutes ago? Okay, so that's exactly what happened. So let me read that again. In another violent incident, Phillip said Combs became violent with Cassie after she failed to enter Combs' bedroom immediately. The man said that Combs threw a bottle of liquor in Cassie's direction, and then he proceeded to drag her back to the room by her hair while she was screaming. So she wasn't knocked out or anything at that particular time. She was screaming, so she was wide awake. So even though Philip claimed he was shocked and terrified, he did not intervene because it was going through my mind. This is what he said, through my head, that if I try to do something, I might lose my life. Okay, so you couldn't physically do anything, right? So how about, even when you left, you called the police because she would still have marks on her if he hit her in the face or anything like that. So anyway, he claimed he stopped meeting up with Cassie and Combs when he was no longer able to achieve extra arousal with them after he allegedly witnessed Combs hit Cassie. Okay. Now, although Philip said he told Cassie that Combs was a real danger, the woman said she was okay. Anyway, Philip is expected to return to court tomorrow and to continue cross-examination. So let's do a little cross-examination ourselves. Okay, so if Philip said that he stopped meeting up with Cassie and Sean when he was no longer able to get his extra gratification, aroused or anything else, because he saw, Sean Combs abusing Cassie, right? Allegedly. So if he had stopped getting excited, what stopped him from calling the police once he got away from them and letting the police know that this man is over here abusing this woman? And if he was hitting Cassie in the face or anywhere where she had marks, the police would see that and they could have taken him and locked him up immediately. So I'm still trying to figure out. He said he didn't say anything. He didn't intervene while Sean Combs was dragging her and she was screaming because he was scared he may lose his life. But what happened when he left? So he just left and did not call the police and let Cassie continue to get her butt beat? Is that what he's saying? And then too, I'm thinking that this sounds like, I don't know for sure, but it sounds like he wanted to be there. Because if someone is calling you to their home and you do not like what's going on, maybe the first time you'll go, maybe the second, but you continuously went until you saw him beat the mess out of Cassie, dragging her by her hair and things like that, and then you decided to not go, he know that he couldn't get aroused anymore if he hadn't went back after that. So here he said, let's see here. He said he stopped meeting up with Cassie and Combs when he was no longer able to achieve extra arousal with them after he allegedly witnessed Combs hit Cassie. Okay. So the day when he drug her in the room, is he talking about the day when he drug Cassie into the bedroom? Did they try to do something then? Because maybe he's talking about then. Okay, he can, get himself prepared. So therefore, the next time he decided not to come because he could not get like that anymore. Is that what he's talking about? Because I wish that they would have clarified that a little bit more. And I hope that the defense attorneys do that come tomorrow. Because I want to know, when is it that he realized he couldn't get aroused? And how would he know unless he went back? Unless after Sean Combs, drug her into the bedroom while she was screaming, unless when he drug her in there, he was asking the dude to come in here and let's get her, let's do it now. Okay. Because it could happen like that too. So hopefully tomorrow they will cross-examine him, right? And they will ask him this question right there, because that's what I want to know. And also I want to know, why didn't he call the police when he got out of that house? You mean to tell me you left her there, so Combs can hit her again, Okay? And you didn't even think about calling the police or anything? Because he could have called the police and he could have just left if he was so, terrified of Combs. And then this is weird too, because if he was so terrified of Combs, it seems like to me he would have kept on coming back. Okay? Because he would be scared that Combs is going to send somebody after him. So if he had to leave and run, why not call the police and let them know what this man was doing to Cassie? So and then he can still leave and run. And then plus Combs would have got in trouble. So you said, so Diddy is guilty of domestic violence. Okay, we already knew that. The story has holes in it. And it's crazy. So let's see what else they got here. So this is what they when Sean Diddy Combs was dragging Cassie. Okay, they did a sketch of it. Okay. Oh. So anyway, let's see. So they did see the video again, okay? They showed that again. And then they did this little sketch of Combs with the towel on him, dragging Cassie through that hotel hallway back to the room. Now, Philip, a former male stripper who struck up an unlikely friendship with Cassie, took the stand during cross-examination to testify on Cassie's violent relationship with Combs. At the time he met Combs and Cassie, Philip was working at a male review show between 2011 and 2015, and was a supervisor for male, who served female clients. Philip said his boss sent him to the Gramercy, Park Hotel in New York, where he was allegedly asked to do a strip tease for a bachelorette party. Upon arrival, Philip said he was greeted by Cassie, who was wearing lingerie, heels, a wig, and a pair of dark glasses. The woman allegedly gave Phillips $4,000 in cash and then revealed this was not a bachelorette party. I know I said that wrong, y'all. I told y'all my tongue. And instead, it was just her and Combs, okay? Cassie informed Philip that it was her birthday and that she wanted him to give her a massage and rub her down in baby oil, the man said. The two walked over to the couch, took off their clothes, and then started to make out, while Sean Combs allegedly sat in the corner and did the the M while they were going at it. All right. Philip said he and Cassie had multiple entanglements and that Sean recorded the pair having those entanglements once or twice in the scope of that time. Philip added that the rapper asked for his driver's license so he could take a picture of it for insurance, which Philip said he perceived as a threat. The thing about it, I'm trying to figure out, if you are a male, why would you take your real ID with you? It seemed like they would have like fake ID, to show these people, because they really should know your name, your real name, or anything else just in case. So I don't know why, he would even have his real ID. You know what I'm saying? With your real address on it and everything else. That's crazy. So during cross-examination, Combs' defense attorneys questioned why Flores did not mention the fact that Cassie had a purple eye in his hotel incident report, nor Combs tell her you're not leaving. He filled out the report in his capacity as a now former security officer at the Los Angeles hotel, where video captured Sean Combs appearing to be his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. The opposite is in your report, defense said, citing the report as saying Mrs. Cece was told to leave by Mr. Combs, and she did just that. The defense also questioned why other details Flores testified about, such as seeing a man sitting on the bed in Combs' rooms, were not in his incident report, and asked repeatedly how and why he remembers this information now. It sounds like this man is just making up stuff as he goes on. And, I hate to say that. I mean, damn, why do you say certain things? It's crazy. So I'm guessing that's him. All right. Yeah, that's him. That's Flores right there. And prosecutor Christy Slavic, she was questioning him. That was what that sketch is right there. And that's Diddy in the back. All right. Looking at him like, what? Anyway, Flores says some of these details seem unimportant to include in the report. Now, after the defense asked why law enforcement was not called, Flores said Cassie told him not to do so. So what though? If Cassie told you not to call the police, you could have still called. You didn't have to tell Cassie. You could have still called, because if he was doing all this stuff that these people are claiming, and he was so violent, he was doing all this mess, he was looking devilish, wouldn't you be scared that he may unalive this girl? Okay, so you can play it off and say no. Okay, I won't call the police, but later on you can still call the police, because they will still see proof of her getting assaulted. Come on now. And then he said, if she refused, that's where it ends. He said, we offered and they said no. So in other words, they don't go any further. If you say no, don't call no police, they just don't go any further. That's according to the security there. So if you see a woman bleeding and her eye is swollen and she looks like she's probably scared, even though she's telling you not to call, you mean to tell me you just brush it off and just go back down to your desk and act like nothing happened? So what if she would have stayed there, right, and he would have unalived her? So, I mean, that's weird, And I remember when I told y'all about the altercation at the hotel where those people got mad because my son would play with their daughter. The management came over there and assisted me. So, I mean, this is weird. I mean, and then the management, even though, I said you don't have to call the police, he still was getting ready to call the police on those other people. So I'm just trying to figure out, just because Cassie said don't call, and Sean, I don't know, but Cassie just said don't call. Why come they didn't call the police still once they got back to their assigned locations? That's weird. Jermaine said it's all lies. So Flores, let's see. Did I read this one? Okay, Flores detailed Combs' alleged 2016 assault of Cassie at a Los Angeles hotel, which resurfaced in leaked footage of the incident in May 2024. Flores, who worked as assistant director at the now closed Intercontinental Hotel, said he received a call the morning of March the 5th, 2016, about a woman in distress. He also said he saw security camera footage of a man later identified as Combs pacing back and forth in a hallway. I thought Flores said he was a security too. Yeah, he was a former security guard as well. Okay. So he was also an assistant director at the now closed Intercontinental Hotel as well. Because up here they said, hold on, a former security guard. So maybe he did that too as well. I don't know. But it says hotel security in 2016. So he was that security there then. So he worked as an assistant director too at that same hotel. Okay, but anyway. So he said he saw Combs pacing back and forth in the hallway, okay, on that day. Now, the prosecution played the hotel security footage multiple times. first in full, and then they slowed it down, broke it into multiple parts, including Combs stalking the hallway, walking back and forth, pacing, I guess, looking around or whatever. Cassie trying to put on her shoes, and Combs striking her back, kicking her repeatedly and dragging her back into the room. And you mean to tell me, after these people saw all of this happen, they did not immediately call the police, even before they questioned Cassie to see if she wanted the police called? Because you would think normally that's what they would do because of a fight in the hotel. So when Flores arrived on the hotel's 6th floor, the security officer alleged he saw Combs wearing a towel and socks while Cassie, who was clad in a sweatshirt, was huddled in the corner, hiding her face. And then they saw the remnants of a shattered flower vase lay on the floor. Flores said Cassie looked scared, like I said, and that Combs gave him a devilish stare upon his arrival. The thing is, if this security saw her looking scared and Combs looking devilish, I say this again and I ask the same question. Why didn't they call the police? Why didn't Flores call the police once he got back downstairs? Because he said the reason why he didn't do it. Okay, but still, when you got downstairs, because even though he claims they don't go any further if the person said don't call the police. But they're fighting. Sean Combs is fighting Cassie in the hotel. They're building, and that is a no-no. Usually when people fight in hotels, if the people hear it or see it, they usually automatically call the police. And I think that's what they should have did that night, because he beat the crap out that girl. Let's keep it real. Now he claims that, and he probably will, you guys, we will probably read about it, right? He claims that Cassie hit him with something in the room. And that's what kicked it all off. And if she did do that, she shouldn't have put her hands on him. But at the same time, good and dead going well, I am not getting ready here. I'm not getting ready to sit here and condone that. Okay? Because just like he got up and walked behind her and did everything he did, he could have gotten up and walked behind her and just verbally went off. And then went his butt back to his room and told her not to come back again since he hit her, not beating her butt. He slung that girl down. He kicked her. He did the most. He was hitting her. Come on now. You don't do all of this. In my opinion, there is no excuse for that type of behavior. All right? Point blank. And this is why I said that security, Mr. Flores, should have taken his butt downstairs. When he got downstairs, he should have called the police. Point blank. I mean, for real. Hey, together, thank you so much for being here. Okay, if it's proven that she hit him, this is what Sean said. I don't know if this is true or not. If it's proven, that she hits him too, then yes, she's guilty of DV as well. And we definitely got to prove this right here. Okay, this is just what we think. Okay. So anyway, Flores testified that Cassie just wanted to get her belongings, a phone and a bag, and leave. Combs then allegedly attempted to stop her, telling her, "You are not going to leave." So Flores said he escorted Sean back to his room and told him the damages from the incident would be charged to his room. Then Combs allegedly offered him a stack of money in exchange for staying silent about the altercation, and Flores testified he declined the offer. So if he declined the offer, I still ask this question again. If he declined the offer, why didn't he take his ass downstairs and call the police then? If he thought that this dude did something wrong, and he was really, really scared for Cassie and concerned about Cassie. Once he got down to his office or his station, why didn't he call the police? Anyway, of Cassie's injuries, Flores noted that the woman had a purple eye as she walked to the valet area of the hotel. When the security officer offered to call law enforcement, Cassie told him she wanted to leave, but he still should have called the police. Okay, point blank. Even if Cassie would have left, because Sean was out there, it is on camera that he was fighting her. And all he had to do was show the camera footage. Okay, he still should have called the police. Now, afterward, he said Cassie met with a 7-foot-tall driver who asked her to come with him. This is crazy. I still don't get that right there. I just don't. See, the reason why people get away with things is because people don't tell right then and there. They wait. All of this stuff that happened in 2016 is damn near 10 years later. It is just not really coming out to head. Okay, he did the DV to Cassie that day in 2016 or that night or whatever. I'm telling you, the police should have been called. Okay, then, and he would have been arrested for DV, period. And letting him get away with that, and then if he went on to do this to Cassie more and more and more, whomever let him get away with that and did not call the police, they are just as guilty, you guys. Because, damn. Because there's no way I could have watched that. I might have played that off, when I was up there. But when I got downstairs to my office, that's when the police would have been called. Okay, point blank. Because he did not take the money. So that means he wasn't all that scared of Sean. Because, if you don't take the money, that means that you're not going to keep and hold his secret. But if you take the money, that means that you will keep and hold that secret. So if he wasn't scared not to take the money, how could he be scared to call the police? And since they were, Diddy was in there fighting her in the hotel, which is not Diddy's property, he's disturbing the peace, he's doing a violent crime and all types of stuff. So they could have called the police. And that's nothing. You're right, Jermaine. And if Diddy said that Cassie hit him with the phone, honestly, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up, Jermaine. He didn't have to walk behind her. You're right. Diddy should have called the police when she hit him in the room. Then he may not be in this mess. I mean, why even? I was wrong when I said run after her and say whatever you wanted to say, just don't hit her. No, you don't do that. You call the police. You're right, Jermaine. You call the police and have her arrested. Not go outside and argue with her and hit her and things like that. You don't do that. Grown people do just what Jermaine just said. Thank you, Jermaine. Diddy should have just called the police when she hit him in the room. Okay, point blank. Or if he did not want to call the police on her, let her leave and be done with it and be done with her. Point blank. It's simple. So anyway, let's see here. Okay, so we're not gonna go over that video again. So like I said, they did show that video today. So let's see here. So anyway, the prosecutors, guys, called first witness in Diddy's trial. Now, as prosecutors lay out their accusations against Combs, they call their first witness. Okay, we already went. Why don't we repeat the same thing over again? So we already went over the first witness, which is Flores. Okay, we're not gonna go back over that again because they just repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again. So we just went over that. That's why I skipped a few minutes ago, because they did the same thing again. I don't know if this is a typo with the editing or what. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna skip over that because we already went over that. So they're doing the same thing. So the defense team showed another video, I guess, the same video again, but I guess they showed, let me make sure first. Hold on. So, okay. Defense actually did this. Tenny addressed the footage in her opening statement. She called the video horrible, dehumanizing, and terrible. She said it shows domestic violence, but she told jurors the fight was about a phone Combs was trying to get from Cassie, not about forcing her into X. Now, I'll tell you straight up, I believe that. I really do. I believe that's what that entire thing was all about, because I thought he said that she hit him with a phone, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, prosecutors say Combs kept women under his power, and you know what? TRAFFICKED them, using force, using fraud, and coercion. But Tenny painted a picture in which Cassie was free. Okay, she was free to do as she pleased. She said for Cassie, she made a choice every single day for years. Cassie was choosing to stay with Combs until one day she chose to leave him. Prosecutors have said Combs used videos of women in X acts as a form of collateral to control them. But Tenny said the only freak-off videos involving Cassie that will show in the trial came from Cassie's own phones. Now, the lawyer suggested that was evidence the power dynamics between them ran in the opposite directions. He said, ask yourself, who had the power? Who had the control? That's what Tenny told jurors. So again, the lawyer suggested that was evidence the power dynamics between them ran in the opposite direction. Okay? And then they said, ask yourself, who had the power? Who had the control? Okay, so what I believe, because I'm not a lawyer, so I will say I believe they're trying to say that Cassie had the power in the control, and she had allegedly have those videos taken on her cell phone. Okay. So this is what Diddy was looking like then, I guess, looking tripped out. Okay. So now the defense questioned motives of ex-employees. Accusers set to testify against Diddy. Now, about MIA or Mia, a former personal assistant of Sean Combs, and other former employees expected to testify against him. Tenny asked in her opening statement, why are they making these allegations now? Again, she said, why are they making these allegations now? And you know what? Some of us are asking the same question. Okay? Now, other employees, Tenny said, alleged a hostile work environment, but she questioned why they did not call the police at the time. And even if they did not call the police at that time, why didn't they call the police later? Huh? And don't say that these people were so afraid, because let me just put this out here. he's in better financial position right now where he can really have a lot of things done, even behind that jail cell. So it seemed like you would be more afraid of him now than back then. He has more power now. So if they were scared then, why aren't they so scared now? Because he has more power now. He has more, you know, more money, more everything. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Tini went on to claim that the accusers wanted money rather than go to law enforcement. Cassie went to a civil lawyer for a money grab. Let me say this again. Back in 2016, when he beat the crap out of this girl, okay, in the hotel, I'm still asking the question, why wasn't the police called? Okay? Even if they did not call the police right then and there, they could have waited and then called the police. Because as long as she has that damage on her face or wherever, or her body, whatever, her eye was black or whatever, blackened, and they got that video, he would have got in trouble right then and there. Point blank. So about Combs allegedly paying a security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel so the video of him appearing to beat Cassie would go away, Tini said Combs was not trying to obstruct justice, but protect both him and Cassie from bad press. You said, is there a video of her throwing a phone? Diddy is a liar. And then Jermaine up here said before, Diddy should have called the police. Okay, we said that already. So then Together said, Jermaine, I don't believe that. Diddy is that soft to let a female hit him. You said she threw a phone. You said, is there a video? And you know what I said too? I said that I would like to see proof of her throwing a phone at him. Okay, point blank. Was there anybody else in that hotel room with them? Because I thought I read that somebody else. No, I think he was going to call somebody there. I'm not sure. Okay, but if she threw the phone at him, I wonder would that phone have a dent or anything? But it's probably too late to even look at that now because he does not have. That was back in 2016. You know, it's going to be pretty hard to prove that unless it's on camera. So it is what it is. That's like hearsay or whatever, because I don't, you know, if you don't have any proof to show, that's what he claims. But, you know, she could have thrown a phone at him. But even if she did, because I want women to know this, even if you did throw a phone, it does not give any man the right to get up here and beat the hell out of you. If anything, he gets up and get on his phone and call the police and let them know what you just did. That's what real men do. Okay? So it doesn't matter if she threw a phone or not, because, you know, he's a man. She's a little bitty, at that time, a little bitty girl. And so even if she was big, he's still stronger. You just don't do that. That's very unacceptable. Period. It doesn't even matter if she threw it or not. It really doesn't. So where was I at? Let's see. So then Tini added that drugs for both Combs and the women were for personal use, and that the use of escort companies is common. She ended by saying, you are not here to judge or impose your moral beliefs on Sean Combs. And the thing about it, I agree with that part right there, because if he is into all this freaky stuff, and just say these people are lying and they really did consent to this, I mean, why are we even here? Okay? But as long as he did not do anything illegal, you know, that they have proof that he did anything illegal, then it is what it is. But if anything shows and it looks like coercing or, you know, beating or anything illegal, then it is what it is. Okay? Let's read y'all comments over here. Okay, let's see. You said it doesn't matter because he already paid her millions for that incident. Okay, that's true. Cassie had her female friend over and he bullied them and made them leave. He allegedly beat Cassie the same night. I believe that this witness will testify. And I believe you say it's all lies, Jermaine, but I believe some of these people, okay? Like I told everybody before, I think some are lying, but at the same time, I think some are telling the truth, okay? And I actually believe this part with the friend and all that, because I remember hearing similar stories before all this came to light of people saying certain things like this, okay? Okay, let's see here where are we at. So anyway, Tini told jurors that Sean doesn't plan to deny. No, excuse me. Tini told jurors that the defense don't plan to deny Sean's responsibility for committing domestic violence, but said they also expect others to take personal responsibility. And definitely. She said domestic violence is illegal, but it's not what Combs is charged with in this case. Domestic violence is not ex trafficking. I want to say it again. Domestic violence is not ex trafficking. Okay? Combs was physical and a drug user, and he had a bit of a different ex life. However, Tini also characterized Combs' alleged victims as people who need to take responsibility for their choices. You will see that they are capable. You will see that they are strong. And that's what Tini said. Now, Sean Diddy Combs' attorney paints accusers as jealous exes. Now, in her opening statements, Tini told jurors that they will see Cassie and Jane Doe's jealousy on full display in this trial. Tini argued that Cassie was jealous when she realized that she would never be Combs' wife, while Jane Doe was jealous that the rapper did not want to be exclusive in their relationship and had other actual partners. So Tini said, regret does not mean coerced. She also added that every woman in the case had free choice. Now, referring to an incident where Combs allegedly went to Jane Doe's home and beat her, Tini told the court the altercation started when Doe slammed his head on the kitchen counter. Tini also accused Doe of being overcome by jealousy that night. So she's saying that Tini is saying that this altercation started when Miss Jane Doe slammed Diddy's head on her kitchen counter. And Tini also said that the accused Doe, Sean accused Doe of being overcome by jealousy that night. Now, y'all, I hate to say it, but I believe this right here, this part of this entire story, because I know how women can get sometimes, and I know that they get jealous. But I'm still going to say, if she did slam his head on the kitchen counter, I know that's hard, but still, I still say you just cannot be hitting women. Okay, he should just call the police. I'm sorry. I know y'all don't want to hear that. If this actually happened, then he should have been calling the police, period. Okay? So you said, I met a man just like Diddy that beat his woman and he denied everything, tried to make her out to be the villain. He was so bold, he slammed his wife's head into a window in front of me. He had the nerve to deny he did anything. Since I was in a domestic violence situation with my first boyfriend, he didn't deny anything. But what he did do is try to make me look like I was the one causing everything. They're good at that. It reminds me of somebody else who does the same thing. Try to make it look like I am the one that created all this foolishness when in reality, my ex-boyfriend was doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because he was on drugs. Sorry, YouTube. And he was just doing the most. Okay? Period. He would get in this little, I guess this little DRUG fit rage. I don't know. Drug. I mean, sorry, YouTube. His, you know what, induce. How do you say that? Yeah, rage, I believe. And he would want, do stuff, start trying to hit and things like that. And I wasn't going for that. So, it is what it is. But yeah, he would go around like, basically would tell his mom lies and stuff and make it seem like it was me and stuff. When in reality, he was doing the most. So sometimes these dudes do, lie and make it seem like the woman is doing everything and, and they just be lying. But since I don't think we will ever know the 100% true story, regarding that. All I'm saying though, if she did slam his head on the counter or door or whatever, just call the police. Just call the police. And that way, if this is true and the police come out, then, she will be arrested. You said Diddy has apologized and paid for the Cassie incident. As far as we know, he hasn't had any other DV incidents. Well, I mean, other girls did accuse him of, doing stuff, like dangling a person over the balcony and just threats, basically, I believe. I can't remember if anybody else said that he hit them or not. But, you got the dangling situation. You're right. You can never pay enough money for abuse. But at the same time, you can't be asking for money, in saying that, making a deal with someone if she did, that you're not going to, continue on with anything about this situation. You know what I'm saying? And then you take the money and then you go back out and, they magically get a video that was supposed to be like hidden. So, I mean, if you're going to tell, then tell, but don't take the money, just go ahead and tell and file criminal charges. And then if you want to go back and do a civil lawsuit, then you do it. Because see, you should want to make sure he pay, with it by going to jail first, okay? And then you do the civil lawsuits afterwards, because then that shows people you're more concerned about the legal part of it as far as making sure this person can't do this to anyone else. If you're just suing him for the money and you don't do anything else, you do that first, he's still got all the time in the world to do things like this to other people. So if you take them, if you go file charges first, get them off the street or whatever the case is, then you can go ahead and do a civil lawsuit once the criminal case is done. You can go ahead and do the civil lawsuit, but I don't know, when you will actually go to court for that, probably after the criminal case is over. And then that way, when you do the criminal charges first, that shows people that you're more concerned with getting that type of justice first versus getting that money. And he's still out here, being able to abuse other women. Okay. Well, of course it's not about, but they're using that as a that initiated everything. Okay, and they are showing that video continuously, just so it can, paint a picture to the jurors what this man is about. They're using that, and the judge okayed it. So you said Jermaine Thompson. So if you had a daughter and Diddy did these same things to her, you will be okay with it? Just asking. I never said it was okay. I said this case isn't about DB. Him paying money to me is another way of admitting his guilt, right? But at the same time, if, like, for example, with my first boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, if I wanted to, no, this is what I used to do. I called the police on him, okay? I called the police on him because, like I said, I want him to know, you can't be doing this, and, you can't, it's just unacceptable. That's what I wanted him to know, if we would have broken up, I wouldn't have went out and just did a civil lawsuit. I would have went on and did the criminal thing first. And then once, that was he was put away for, fighting me or whatever the case is, then I may go back and do a civil lawsuit. That's all I'm saying. Okay. You said, nope, Diddy gave a half-ass apology. He did not mean it to me. She definitely took it. We know he wasn't innocent of that DV shit. It's on the video. We know exactly he isn't innocent of that. But I think, in my opinion, I believe that Diddy should have apologized to Cassie a long time ago. Okay. This man should have got on his knees and did a sincere apology to Cassie. And then, talk to her and things like that, and then gave her some money. I really do. That's what I think, because that's what I would have done. And then maybe she wouldn't have did any of this stuff. Anyway, the attorney said, regret does not mean coerce. She added, each one of those women in the case had free choice. Now, she was referring to an incident where Combs allegedly went to Jane Doe's home and beat her. So there's your other allegation of beating a woman, Jermaine. Cheney told the court the altercation started when Doe slammed his head on the kitchen counter. Okay. And then Cheney also accused Doe of being overcome by jealousy that night. All right, we already read that one. So the way Diddy was reacting in court, okay? So they said he didn't really have any emotion. He was just staring. And that happened throughout Johnson's opening statement. He showed a rare reaction when the U.S. attorney was laying out his alleged criminal conduct in his freak-offs, okay? When she explained that he would direct Cassie on what drugs to take ahead of their extra performance, Combs took a big breath and moved in his chair. Like I said, if Combs is innocent, right, I just hope that his defense team has all of the evidence to show that he did not do X trafficking, he did not coerce people or beat any people or was involved in any type of racketeering. Okay? Johnson also told jurors about Jane Doe, who was a single mom when she met Combs in 2020. A few months after they met, Combs allegedly introduced Jane to his freak-offs. She thought it was a one-off wild night, but she loved him desperately and wanted a real relationship with him. Jane Doe said Combs paid her rent for a house where she lived with her child, and although she tried to resist the freak-offs, the rapper would threaten to no longer financially support her. And I definitely believe that. I really, truly do. Because, a lot of men, not every, I didn't say all men, I said a lot though. They play these games like that. Okay. I have experienced something similar myself, where I didn't do certain things. So I was told that, oh no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because you are still in your situation. So I definitely believe this part of it, just, knowing, how some people be, what I'm saying, from my experience. Not saying that I know 100% that he did this, and I'm thinking that this is probably true, and like I said, if it's not true or whatever the case is, then I hope that, Combs' team has evidence to show that, okay? Now, Johnson said Combs came to Jane Doe's house less than a year ago, and they had an argument where he placed her in a chokehold, lifted her by her neck, and kicked her to the ground. He then allegedly continued to punch, kick, drag her by her hair, and slap her face before making her cover her black eye and have sex with an escort. So, I hate to say this, guys, like I said before, but it just don't seem, I don't know if she's lying or not, but it just doesn't seem like that to me. Again, I don't know for sure because I wasn't there. And again, if this is not true, hopefully Sean's defense team has information, proof that says otherwise. You know what I'm saying? That, this is not true, not the way they're saying it. So hopefully they have something to back up what they claim, period. Let's see. So you said that, hold on. If Diddy was committing all these crimes over a 20-year period, why prosecute him now? It doesn't make sense. And that's true. And like I said before, I don't understand why these people did not say anything years ago. And I know some said they were scared, but shit, I would be more afraid of him now than back then because, again, he has more money, more power and everything. He can do more things. Okay? And yeah, he used some money, but he still got money left. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he's not broke, and that's on everything. So Gene Deal said Diddy beat Kim Porter too. So this is his behavior. And then Jermaine said you got that on tape. And then Together said, Jermaine, you must not know how easily this man can make someone unalive if he doesn't want certain information to come out. And that's why I'm saying I don't understand how people can come out now, because now he has more resources, more money, more power. He can really make somebody disappear. What happened to that missing number 3 witness? So Jermaine says, baseless accusations. Who has he unalive that you can prove? Well, I can't prove anything. I'm just saying, I just think. I don't know for sure. Now, Johnson described one instance in 2009 where Combs allegedly threw Cassie on the floor of an SUV and stomped repeatedly on her face. She would testify about another instance when she said Combs allegedly forced another escort to urinate in her mouth. Okay, that's nasty. Now let's see who Johnson is. Hold on. Okay, that's the prosecutor, right? Let's see. Yeah, that's the other prosecutor. Okay, let's go on back down. So she's seeing him allegedly doing some DV to Cassie, okay? Now they say Cassie entered her first freak off. She didn't want to do it. But they said she loved Combs and wanted to make him happy. That's what Johnson said. The prosecutor said the defendant beat her viciously, whether she was taking too long in the bathroom, missed his calls, or left a freak off early. Combs would threaten to release videos of her with dozens and dozens of male escorts, Johnson said. He had the power to ruin her life. She was only 19 when she first met Combs, who was 17 years older than her. Prosecutors have said he promised her a 10-album deal, and although she recorded music constantly, he always had the final say on which music she was able to release. Her livelihood and safety depended on keeping Sean happy. That's according to Johnson. The prosecution said Combs and Cassie were unfaithful and jealous, but only had power. But only one had power. So the prosecution said Combs and Cassie both were unfaithful and jealous, but only one had power. With that right there, I believe Sean had most of the power, okay? But I don't believe he was the only one who had power, because I'm going to go back to that video that they talked about and saw a couple months ago, right? Hold on for y'all, my allergies. And in that video, they said that allegedly Cassie, was the domineering one. And she was happy in that video. She was laughing. No one was on DRUGSs or anything. No intoxication or anything. And it looks like everybody was having fun. But she was in a domineering position. In other words, she was in a controlling position. Okay? And with her having videos on her phone. So I think he had the majority of the control, okay? Period. But I also think she had a little control too. And I'm still asking the question. I know she was scared of him, okay? But still, I still want to know why the police was never notified when she wasn't around him. Because they could have possibly offered her protection, moved her, all types of stuff. You know, why keep on going back to this man if he's forcing you to have, with male escorts, people peeing, people mouths, and all types of weird stuff? Why even go back to this dude? And then when you look at videos at concerts and stuff, award shows, she's all over him, smiling and stuff like that. It's just crazy. I mean, the money is what motivates a lot of people to come back, continue to come back, take all of this in, and everything. That's what motivates a lot of people. And they let these men, and some men let some of these women who are like that because they got money, do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Because they want that money. They want that fame. They want everything that comes with all that money and fame. Anyway, prosecutors preview the degree of alleged violence. As the government began laying out its argument, Johnson painted Combs as a public icon and a private monster. Describing one violent episode, Johnson said Combs broke into the house of a man who was seeing Cassie with a GUN and a bodyguard with the intent to unalive him. While no one was home, Combs later found Cassie and beat her brutally and flung her around like a rag doll. Okay? Now, referencing the alleged freak-offs, Johnson said Combs forced Cassie to have X on camera with male escorts and kept the tapes as blackmail. The videos, Johnson said, are for Cassie souvenirs of the most humiliating, embarrassing nights of her life. Okay. Now, this is the family members of Combs arriving for a trial at Diddy's trial. Okay. So anyway, the jury prepares to hear at length about the freak-offs. Prosecutors told jurors to expect to see videos of Combs' alleged freak-offs. And they are highly coordinated, sometimes days long, actual performances that Sean is accused of orchestrating. The freak-offs, which officials have said were fueled by illicit, substances, and they featured male escorts, were used in part to blackmail his ex-girlfriend, Cassie. They said Combs used lies, drugs, threats, and violence to force the accusers to have X in front of male escorts. Johnson said the incidents often lasted multiple days with multiple escorts and sometimes forced them to travel out of state. She repeatedly said Combs directed everything and frequently had staff on hand to replenish the lubricant, linens, and DRUGSs for the women and himself, as well as cash for the escorts. She said he fed them DRUGS, such as MDMA, so they could stay awake and perform for him for hours and days on end. She also told the court he often M-word throughout the freak-offs. Now, Cassie is one of two accusers who form the government's key witness and are expected to describe the freak-offs in detail. So as opening arguments kicked off, Cassie video takes center stage. And we already talked about that. But prosecutors did reveal they plan to show the footage of the altercation, though not the video released by CNN, but rather their own couple of, their own clips of the video made by the hotel employee, according to the Associated Press. So lawyers for the government told the jury that Combs' inner circle worked hard to conceal the video, paying one security guard $100,000 cash in a brown paper bag in exchange for that security officer to cooperate. Wow, $100,000, man. So Johnson said in her opening statement that Combs ran a 2-decade criminal conspiracy with the help of an inner circle of bodyguards and high-ranking employees, okay? She said to the public, he was Puffy, Puff Daddy, or Diddy, a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life. But there was another side of him, a side that ran a criminal enterprise. During this trial, you are going to hear about 20 years of the defendant's crimes. Okay, that's what Johnson said. She hit back at the defense team's expected argument that the accusations against Combs are government intrusion into the private and consenting extra life of a grown-up. This case is not about a celebrity's private extra preferences, she told the jury, arguing it was instead about coercive in criminal behavior. For 20 years, the defendant, with the help of his inner circle, committed crime after crime. As Combs' fortune and fame grew, he expected to be treated like a king and got everything he wanted, whether it was more, DRUGS to through a freak off or women who would be immediately available to him. She also said that Combs kidnapped an employee multiple times, set a man's car on fire, and dangled a woman over a balcony. Combs' defense lawyers are expected to argue that the actual activity described by the prosecutors was consensual and say there was nothing illegal about a swingers lifestyle in which Combs and his girlfriends occasionally brought a third person into their relationship. All right, so that was a trip right there. So anyway, at that trial, Combs' kids were there. Okay, his family members were there. Okay, His mom, Janice, was there. His children, Quincy, Justin, Christian, Chance, Delilah, and Jessica Combs were all there. It said Combs' kids have continued to stand by their father as he faced allegations of sexual abuse. So Diddy's lawyers, you guys, accuse prosecutors of bias against Black jurors. You said Diddy is going to get life? I don't know. We will see. As the jury approached finalization, Combs' defense claimed prosecutors were unfairly excluding Black jurors. He said, Your Honor, the government has struck 7 Black people out of 9 strikes, which we believe amounts to a pattern, lead defense attorney Mark Agnafilio told the judge. Prosecution, in response, called their selections very diverse, with many non-white jurors. One prosecutor ran through neutral reasons as to why they made the strikes the way they did. One juror said he had a lack of candor with past incidents with police. Another juror had meandering and inconsistent answers, the lawyer claimed. Another juror tried to walk that back. Her statement that Combs is likely guilty of domestic violence in her jury questionnaire by later saying that the victims can jump on a bandwagon. Okay. The judge denied the defense's applications about the jury strikes, with Submarinians saying the defense has failed to show purposeful discrimination. All right. Anyway, the judge won't suppress evidence from Combs' LA and Miami homes. He said, of course, they are biased. In a second legal blow to Combs on May the 9th. Okay, so we already went over that. We're not going to go back over that again. But I did tell you guys about that. I said that the judge, Aaron Submarinian, said he won't suppress evidence the government got from searching Combs' iCloud accounts, 2 cell phones, his Los Angeles and Miami homes, in his own body. Okay? They said Combs failed to show the government intentionally misled a judge in order to get warrants for those searches. Okay, and that's according to Judge Aaron. All right. So these are the major blows that he got hit with. I'm not going to go back over that. They're also telling you guys what racketeering is. I already went over that before. Okay. We're not going to go over that again. And I think I just wrapped up everything that happened. If I hope I didn't forget anything. Okay. And they did say that Cassie is ready to testify against Diddy. All right. She's ready. She can't wait. But like I said, when she is up there, testifying, once those the defense team do a cross-examination, I just hope she, they don't have some stuff that shows that she was a willing person. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't coerced and things like that. I just hope, they don't have information that will show, that. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here in this case. Let's see. So they did claim that Sean Diddy Combs might throw tantrums after he hears the witness's testimony. So they are watching him very closely in his jail cell. All right. So let's look at this peeing situation, see what exactly happened right here. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. So I already read. They just basically repeating the same thing I said. I thought they were going to have more information here, but they don't. Okay, yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, that urinating in her mouth is disgusting. I mean, it's just plain damn. Goodness. And then what did she do after he urinated in her mouth? I don't know, you guys. I mean, he's getting off on that if this is true. She probably will, it's a trip. Let's see what else we got here on this. Okay, let me see what other videos, what else they're saying. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Let me share the screen. Let's see. Let's see what else they got here. This is tripped out. I want to hear more about the other stuff. Let's see. Let's hear about that one real quick, okay?
Hey y'all, it's Lorna Rosa. So we are here at court. The day is over. It's been a long day. Normally I check in with y'all, but I couldn't do that today because if I left the courtroom, I wouldn't have made it back in the court to hear the testimonies. We got through the jury selection. We got through opening statements from both sides, the defendants and the prosecutors. And we also heard from 2 witnesses. Now, I just turned my phones on, and already the headlines that I'm seeing are people talking about the male escort who was claimed by the male escort, right? There were claims of who made who urinate on who, whether Diddy, Cassie, who told who to do what. There were conversations about jealousy between Cassie and Kim Porter, and this being just a toxic relationship, and domestic violence and assault being things that Diddy is willing to own up to, but trafficking and all the other things being things that he is not willing to own up to. There's a lot to break down from today. It was very detailed. Now let's get into the whole peeing in the mouth by the escort. So on the stand, the prosecution did allege that Cassie is going to testify that Puff allegedly had made a male escort pee in her mouth. That is what they alleged in their opening statements. There was an escort that got on the stand as a witness. During this testimony, this escort talked about being made to pee in Cassie's mouth. But this witness says that it was Cassie who asked him to do that. And that Puff was watching, and honestly, that was stricken. Like the jurors, when he got into, because he was speaking directly about Cassie and the fact that Cassie allegedly asked him to do it. And that's why he did it. And he was saying that at first he didn't know how to do it. Like he was just like peeing like he normally pees. And that Cassie, along with Puff, was basically telling him like, slow down, like don't let it all come out at one point. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're really peeing. And then that one line I just said about him saying what Puff and Cassie said to him together about that was stricken from the jurors. Like they're not even allowed to use that because his original conversation around this was Cassie asked him to do that, allegedly. And that Cassie was like the mastermind behind that. Cassie is going to testify, and that's going to happen this week. To be honest with y'all, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tomorrow. So the prosecutor's opening statements are being picked up, but there was a witness on the stand that changed that whole story. After leaving today, I feel like when we hear the conversations about Puff's legal team and how powerful the legal team is and how good they are, until you see it in person, you don't even understand. I'm going to do a full breakdown tonight, which will be posting to my podcast tomorrow morning, and then I'll see y'all on the Breakfast Club. We got a lot to talk about. Today was a day.
A few outfits she got on. But anyway, listen to this. A lot of people, I don't know why it's hard for people to believe that, not saying that Cassie wanted this person to do this, but I don't know why some people find it very hard to believe that people get freaky as ever, okay? I don't know exactly if this is true or not, if she asked him or whatever the case is. But if they have evidence to show that she did, that's going to be a trip. That one dude did say that she asked. And then the way they were describing how, the way they were telling this man how to do it, they must have did this before, okay? Because how would you know what to do? He said that he didn't know how to do that. He didn't know what to do, so he peed like he normally would pee. And they was telling him to slow down and all this other stuff. So if they both was telling him how to do it, honestly, it sounds like to me that they both knew what was, they did this before and they understood, how this little game is played. I mean, for real. So, yeah, it's a trip. So what do you guys think about that? About that pen situation? So anyway, I think I covered everything. Okay, because I went through everything. And so tomorrow is day 2. So of course tomorrow I'm going to recap that for you guys as well. We're going to go over day 2 of this trial, and I'm pretty sure we are going to hear some more tripped out ass information. I know we are. Goodness. So far, day 1, a hot mess. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments section. And I'm going to give you guys this couple of breaking news, and we are getting ready to get out of here, okay? So let me do this real quick. That was a trip. So as we already know, I know y'all already heard about this. Torey Lanez was stabbed, I believe. Let me go look and see. Let's see. Thank you, Jermaine. So yeah, Torey Lanez, he was, am I saying his name right? Yeah, Lanez, I think. Or was it Torey Lanez? I thought it was Lanez. I don't know. Anyway, he was hospitalized after an attack Monday at a California prison where he is serving a 10-year sentence for shooting hip-hop star Megan Thee Stallion in the feet. He was attacked, you guys, at a housing unit at the California Correctional Institution at about 7:20 a.m. Okay, a.m. They did not specify how Torey was attacked, but a message posted on the rapper's Instagram account Monday evening said he was stabbed 14 times and both his lungs collapsed. Dang, man. He was stabbed 14 times, you guys. Goodness, 14 times? And you mean to tell me the guards couldn't have intervened before it was 14 times? Goodness. They did say he is breathing on his own, okay? They said despite being in pain, he is talking normally in good spirits, and I'm deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. He was stabbed in his back, torso, head, and face. They said staff immediately gave Torey medical aid and called 911. He was taken to an outside hospital. And they said that they are investigating this incident. So this prison is located about 100 miles north of LA in the mountains of the Mojave Desert. And it houses about 1,700 medium and maximum security inmates. So in December 2022, Lanez was convicted of 3 felonies: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded, unregistered firearm in his car, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. That's crazy. Okay, they're just going over his whole case. I'm not going to go over his whole detail and what happened with him and Megan Thee Stallion, because y'all already know. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yeah, so he was stabbed, I think I said 14 times, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, he was stabbed 14 times, and both of his lungs collapsed. He was stabbed in his back, torso, head, and face. And they are investigating this right now. And as of now, he's stable and breathing on his own. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe they need to put him in protective custody. I don't know. That's 14 times. You mean to tell me that the guards could not stop that? Somebody said he never shot her in her foot, only by her foot. He was set up by Megan in the uppers. Then she turns around and put a restraining order on him as he is already incarcerated. So that made it worse. Some of these industry individuals would do whatever to whomever, whenever, just that. And then somebody else said, I would like to know why the entire world is obsessed with Black people. They come to post something negative or say they don't know who Torey Lanez is. So why are you here again? You all are literally obsessed. Is it our God-given talents, our melon, or all of the above? I don't know why, if they don't want to be in that comment section, I don't know why they be over there. If they don't care about all this and don't know who he is, I'd be wondering why they come, why people, go to certain, articles and comment sections and watch certain YouTubes, if they don't like the content, it's crazy. Or if they don't know about it. I don't know, it's crazy. Somebody said Megan is a liar and a trick for the industry, but her day is coming. To facts, 100 unrighteous lies. Okay. Somebody said, why is this news? A guy who accidentally shot someone with his unregistered loaded semi-automatic firearm. He got injured in prison with other offenders with violent histories. Were there any GANG affiliations associated with this as well? I wonder. Like I said, these people don't know who these people are. I don't even know why they're reading it, because a lot of comments here saying who are they and things like this, so it's just plainly crazy. So this is the hand signal that Diddy gave in jail. He was doing hand signals and stuff to his family and stuff, I guess. Let's stop this so y'all can see this. Hold on. Okay, those little hand signals. This just mean love. I love you and stuff. That's what that means. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So they got Diddy looking like somebody's great uncle. Somebody else said he looks like Grady on Sanford and Sons. Somebody said, well, isn't he 54 years old? I would suspect he's been gray and, coloring his hair for some time now. He's going to prison, so he won't need any more of that hair, in the future. I don't know why they act like I don't know why they act like his hair wasn't gray before he colored it. That's crazy. Of course, when you're incarcerated, you can't do that unless you're using that other little thing that they do, that you can do with the coffee beans and shit. But the thing is that, if you can't do that and you're older, like you're in your 50s or late 40s, your hair is going to be changing. Even if it doesn't change in 40s, it's going to start changing in your 50s or in your late 50s or in your 60s. So it's common, it's not uncommon, so I don't know why everybody is acting brand new about his hair turning gray. Yeah, he looks different. He looks older. That's because he can't do all the other stuff that he normally does when he's not incarcerated. Somebody said, Diddy reading the Bible? Really? I doubt that very much. Somebody said it's all for show, right? Somebody else said it's not a good look because nobody is falling for that. So there you go. Okay, let's see what else we got. Let's see. Let's see what else. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure. Also, Diddy's kids were holding hands when they walked into the courthouse too, you guys. All right, so they was holding hands. And get this, y'all. A driver rams his car into a Mother's Day flower stand in Southern California. That's crazy, isn't it? All these people are absolutely nuts, okay? Let's see what time it is. It's 10:33. We're doing good. This happened in San Bernardino County, all right? This person in the car drove their car into a crowded Mother's Day flower stand on purpose Saturday night. Let's see if anybody got on the line. So they said a male flower vendor attempted to intervene on behalf of a female with a child involved in a domestic dispute with the male suspect. The male suspect reportedly returned to his car and attempted to try and run over the flower vendor, who was able to get away, though he suffered minor injuries. That's what they got. So they said it was unclear if anyone was taken to the hospital. Let's see. And the suspect was seen fleeing the area in a 2000 gray four-door Honda Accord. He was only described as a Hispanic male. They also said the woman with the child reportedly fled the area on foot before police came. And they said they are investigating the incident right now. Okay, so yeah, that's a hot mess. But I don't think anyone got hurt, and I don't know why the mom fled on foot. Maybe she's illegal or something. I don't know. I know one thing: it's a hot ass mess. Let's see this what they're saying. Okay, hold on. I'm just reading something else. So they also said in Diddy's case, because this is something just new came up on my phone, okay, that a male dancer testified that Diddy directed role play between him and Cassie. I just can't get away from this case, okay? They said that Diddy was not just present, he was active and vocal. They said that Diddy hold on. Diddy was the one in control in this one section right here, okay? He said Diddy was telling them to slow down. He said there wasn't enough baby oil. He revealed that every session involved heavy use of lubricant starting with Astroglide, and that Diddy seemed fixated on the physical details, okay? As bad as a freaking zone, y'all. He also said that Diddy orchestrated scenarios that felt like scenes out of a script adult film. Let's see. He said Diddy allegedly told the two to pretend that they had just met at an airport. And he said that Diddy just kept on instructing them and he was watching them closely. Let's see. So this dancer was paid thousands per session by Cassie, who seemed to be following Diddy's instructions. So they said this does appear to support prior FBI claims, and it strengthens the prosecution image of Diddy, not just as a bystander, but a director of the encounters. Okay, I'm just looking at that. Okay, so yeah, that was just another part that I didn't see before. Like I said, it's just a lot of shit that's gonna continuously come up in this case. And every time I get something, if I'm on live, I'm just gonna tell you guys because it's just every time I look around, it's something more. So here's some more breaking news. Somebody said he's not getting out. Calls for Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin, slammed by state AG, who says former cop still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years. For the Attorney General of Minnesota says ongoing efforts to petition President Donald Trump for a federal pardon of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who unalived George Floyd in 2020, are irrelevant when it comes to his state convictions, noting Sunday that Chauvin still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years. Wow. He said he's not getting out. He's not getting out. Okay. So as we know, Elon Musk and Trump, well, Elon Musk was pushing to get Derek pardoned. Okay. That's what he was pushing for. It doesn't look like he's going to be getting out, which is a good thing. Anyway, because I don't want to read all that right there because there's a lot of stuff. If you want to know more about that, I'll tell you where to go. So Chauvin was sentenced to 21 years in federal prison for the civil rights conviction in June 2021. He was given 22 and a half years for the state charges in April 2021. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected an appeal from Chauvin in his state case in 2023. So he said, I think they're pushing for it because they want to agitate and outrage people. That's what Ellison told MSNBC about the pardon. He said, I don't know if Trump is going to pardon Chauvin or not, but if he does, it doesn't change his prison sentence. He still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere. So they did say Trump has said he is not considering a pardon for Chauvin, despite calls from conservatives in Shapiro. Supporters of the idea argued Chauvin did not receive a fair trial due to the attention surrounding the Floyd case and protests that followed. So Allison said, in no case is it sensible and good for Americans. Okay. So he said he is not getting out. He is not getting out. He owes Minnesota 21. I think he said, no, he said, I think he said 21 and a half more years. Okay. So there you go. Or either 22 and a half more years. Let's see. He said he still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years. And he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere else. Hey, Kim, thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you. Let's see what else we got here, you guys. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see. All this Diddy news here. Let's see. So, Give, See, and Go. CFO speaks on Shiloh Hendricks donations after racial slur video goes viral. Let's see what he says real quick. So anyway, in an interview with News Nation, GiveSend Go CFO Jacobs Wells attempted to explain the company's decision to host the fundraiser. While defending freedom of speech, Wells also acknowledged that he personally found the video bothersome. Okay, so he said the boy was going throughout her belongings, so it's not like she just stepped into the situation unprovoked and called a young boy a turn. At the same time, he clarified, I don't condone calling people racial names and bad names at all. Is this man slow? How can a 5-year-old provoke a grown-ass woman to do anything? And don't say he was too big to be 5. I don't care if he was 10. How can a 10-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old provoke a grown woman to do anything like this? The only thing this lady should have said is explain to that kid, do not go in my bag. If you want something, you need to ask, not go in the bag and take. And where are your parents? And that's it. What is he talking about? This man says Shiloh is going through a dark moment, just as much as this other family is. And we want to be a light in all of these moments. He also added, I believe in freedom of speech, freedom of association. When you start going down the road of cancellation and cancel culture, it actually brings the very things that we say that we are against. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you go out here and call a 5-year-old a racial slur, okay? That's crazy. Let's see what some of these people said in the comment section. Somebody said disgusting, all of it. Racist, supporting racist. People placing blame on a child. Outrageous. This fundraiser should have never been allowed under the guise of free speech. My daughter is half black. Call her this and see what the F happens. I know that's right. So here they go bringing up Carmelo again. Somebody said she is trailer trash. Yes, I said it. Freedom of speech. A 5-year-old goes through her bag and she freaks out and calls him the N-word because he is black, then goes online to a fund site for people to relocate. Pathetic. Then people actually donate in this so-called Christian site. Boy, I think I would call it something other than Christian. Oh, and I like that term, cancel culture. They throw out there. That shit should be canceled. Somebody said, why is everyone acting like she stabbed the kid in the chest? And then somebody else said, why are so many white people dismissing her racism? Okay, somebody else said, she will reap what she sowed. May every person who donated to her reap what they sow too. Karma is a bee. And then somebody else said, if you are okay with Carmelo Anthony and his family getting donations, because if so, you have no right to complain. Yes, you do, because it's two different situations, okay? Bobby, it's two different situations, period. And then she came back and said, why did you deflect? This article is about this nasty racist woman. Maybe go reflect on why you had to bring him up. Right, that's crazy. Why bring this boy up? No one was talking about Carmelo. Okay, they was talking about Shiloh and her usage of a racial slur at a 5-year-old, okay? I don't know why they always do that. anyway, that's that's crazy, you guys. Okay, let's see what else we got. I think that's it, you guys. I think that's it with the breaking news that I have right now. There's a lot of other stuff here, but I'll actually tell y'all the rest of some of this stuff tomorrow. Other than that, we are getting ready to get out of here. I do want to tell y'all one thing about this coyote seen digging up a grave at a California cemetery. Can y'all believe that? I'm not going to show y'all the video, but I will tell you this little coyote was definitely digging into that grave. But they said he might have been digging into the grave because he could have been, getting a place for his pups to be at. So they said that they watched the coyote for about 10 minutes. They said it would stop and look scared anytime a car drove by, but then would start digging again. They said one reason coyotes may dig, according to local animal hospital Wild Care, is to create a den for their pups. Sometimes coyotes utilize pre-existing holes in protected areas like openings under trees or even under a home's porch. Other times they may dig from scratch. And they say the actual den is used only temporarily for the actual birth of the pups and several months afterwards. Then, as with bird nests or their own or on our own bassinets, the young pups outgrow the den and the family will abandon it to sleep outside, usually in hidden and protected places. So they did reach out for that to that cemetery, but they did not hear anything back. Now, I didn't know coyotes eat plants or trash. Damn, they be eating everything, huh? That's They say coyotes are native to California. Okay. And they are very intelligent too. Let's see. Somebody said a coyote is not going to build a den in the middle of an open field. They say it probably was hungry and smelled the body under the ground. They said a wolverine would dig down 10 feet for an unalive animal to eat. Somebody said those bodies are embalmed, so there is no smell, and it is also enclosed in concrete. Probably, maybe something else is, I don't know. Somebody said perhaps found his past living owner. I don't know. Somebody said, can somebody please feed the coyotes? They must be starving to perform such things. We have taken them home and unalive off food they eat. Okay, let's see this little video. Let me look at this video real quick. This is weird. You know what I'm saying? Very strange. Let me see.
It's top of mind after hearing about Thursday's tragedy.
Oh man, they're looking at another story. Let's see if I can go back to that story. Let's see real quick. I can't pull it back up, but y'all can check it out on YouTube or TikTok. Just type in coyote digging in the cemetery grave. That's all you need to do, and you should be able to see it, okay? Also, guys, 2 brothers were attacked by a mountain lion in California. One of the brothers was unalive. My condolences are expressed out to his parents and friends and other family members, and my prayers are extended out to them. The brothers, ages 18 and 21. Let's see. Man, Liddy, hold on. So I guess the lion was ready. I don't know, eat the boy, I don't know. Oh man, that's crazy. So let's see here. So this was in Northern California, on the outskirts of Sacramento. Let's see. This happened at 1:13 p.m. on March the 23rd. I guess they was looking for antlers. Gosh. So they had severe head injuries, I guess. They don't be writing these articles correctly. I don't know what be going on. Okay. The way they tell the story is crazy. So there's no point in me telling it because it's written up crazy. Just know that a mountain lion in Northern California, on the outskirts of Sacramento, two brothers ages 18 and 21 were viciously attacked by a mountain lion. One was unalive, and the other one was, injured. And they found the mountain lion, and they euthanized it. So they did say the other brother is expected to fully recover after several surgeries. That's a sad situation. Damn. But this article is written crazy. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it with the news and stuff because there's so much news, so much stuff happening. So, happening. So you would never get off this live if we try to tell everything. Okay, so any other news I'll go over tomorrow when I do day 2 of Diddy's trial. Thank you to Most Hated Bronze, to Jermaine, to Kim, to Together We Break Productions, to Tony Bands, thank you. Thanks to everybody in the bushes and everybody who watches this in the replay. You guys, don't forget to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed this content tonight. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe below and hit that bell notification so you can be notified of any other upcoming videos. Make sure you share and leave a comment. All right? And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget, you can do a super sticker, super chat, cash out, donation at $Shades2, or you can cop yourself a membership for $4.99. Excuse the bloopers tonight because, the tongue thing, and I got this gum on it. So I cannot talk in my normal way because, I'm trying not to hit my damn tongue. And shit, I hit it earlier, man. While I was doing this live, I hit it and stuff. So that's how the good ass feeling. So I'm going to the dentist on Wednesday to see, what's going on. And hopefully they can figure it out so I can stop biting my daggone tongue every time I talk. It's a trip. So y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll see y'all. Thank you, Jermaine. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I don't know what time yet, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. And make sure y'all check out my Country Rain reaction videos. And also check out my latest Dollar Tree haul and my other videos. All right. Other than that, y'all have a good night. And I'll see you guys in my next video. And I hope you guys had a beautiful Mother's Day as well. All right. Thank you guys. Peace out. Let's do all this. Take this down.